So every month we talk a little bit about principles. That this month they were spurred by a couple things. The first was that there was a crypto asset management firm called Virgil Capital that had its assets seized recently by the SEC due to some kind of nefarious activity that the managers undertook. They were a relatively large firm. They had tens of millions and potentially close to 100 million under management. And this is also a common conversation topic that I've had with many of you here on the phone. When we first talk to each other, if you're going to give someone a large check to manage your money, there's a lot of trust and integrity involved there. So I've gotten the question, how do I know that Ikigai is not a Ponzi? How do I know that Travis and Anthony aren't the next Bernie Madoff? And when the returns are kind of as positive as they are, that question probably comes up more frequently. And so that's why you have third-party fund administrators. That's why you have auditors, tax advisors, independent directors, independent compliance firms, counsel, all of that. However, that doesn't get you all the way to a solution. Maybe sometime in the future, there's going to be some sort of immutable blockchain that we could use instead of trusted third parties. But that Virgil Capital, they had all of those in place, all of those service providers in place, and they were still able to fool quite a number of people, probably up to and including their service providers. And so I wanted to talk a bit about, specifically how I was raised and some of the principles that are pretty core to how Travis and I are how we operate as business owners. I've told many of you that I was raised on a family farm, fifth generation. So my great-great-grandfather homesteaded in Valley Ford, Washington under the Homestead Act in 1887. We have that piece of paper signed by Grover Cleveland in our safe somewhere. And fast forward to now, it's now 13,000 acres. And my father and grandfather, and they've been doing business with a lot of the same people for decades. And with that comes a few pretty invaluable lessons. And one of them is the value of a handshake. I talked to my grandpa about this just a few days ago, and he said he's never been very good at writing things, but there's just so much said in a handshake. And a good firm handshake where you look someone in the eye and you shake their hand, and what's said between two honest people, and that is better than any piece of paper. The signature on the paper is for lawyers, but for good people with good roots, a handshake is so much better than that. And it's particularly relevant to the business that we're building here with all of our partners on the phone, because there are hundreds of pages of legal docs that do kind of govern or attempt to govern the risk and relationship with us managing other people's money. But to his point, if there's not good people on the other side of those signatures, it doesn't really actually matter. And it's worth saying that Travis and I are not perfect. We're inevitably going to stumble. We are human, but because of those principles, we're going to endeavor to kind of across the board ensure that mistakes are minimized both in quantity and in significance. And what we can assure is that when that comes along, we're going to be transparent and forthright and truthful in how we conduct business. Kind of growing up on the farm, and then I went to the Air Force Academy. The Air Force Academy had kind of two key foundations. The first were the core values, which were integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And then you also had the honor code, which was shared by Texas A&M, Travis's alma mater, You know, we will not lie, steal, cheat, nor tolerate anyone among us who does. And you know, it's always easy to make a business arrangement, you know, because generally when you make that arrangement, both parties are agreeing to everything, and they have all the information at the time. And then you fast forward 6 or 12 months down the road, and things can change, and one party may be totally upside down. But you have to go back to that point in time and understand that, you know, we agreed on this, and stand up to that. And you know, so there's a big difference between peacetime and wartime from that perspective. And specifically, when you're managing other people's money, you know, the first core value, integrity first, is obviously paramount. But the second core value is of service before self, means that so myself, Travis, Hans, and then also Ikigai as the firm, are there to serve those who were managing other people's money. So we're putting them first. We're not putting ourselves first. You know, that's the entire premise of a fiduciary duty, is to put others first. It's service before self. Yeah, and it's I mean, it's something that we think about and we talk about a lot. And it a lot of it just comes back to relationships. You know, I talked about this in the last LP only call, how important the relationships that we have with everyone on this call are. You know, that's where a lot of the fulfillment of building a business is the relationships that you have with those you do it with, especially in a space like this, where none of this has been done before. Technology's new, asset class is new. There's lots of ups and downs. So yeah, I don't know, Travis, if you had any thoughts that you wanted to add to that. I know we kind of talked about it offline.
No, strongly echo all of that. I mean, Anthony and I, very early on when we started working together in 2018, I can't remember at what point we figured out that the Air Force Academy and Texas A&M had the same honor code. But you know, when we did it, we thought that was great, and adopted it as the honor code for Ikigai. And you know, we just want you guys to know that we're always going to be doing the right things by you. We take that very seriously. You know, I've been a fiduciary for a decade before I started in one degree or another. Before I started Ikigai, so I understand the importance of that. And yeah, we're going to do the right thing every time. Doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes, but we're going to do the right thing. Yeah. So cool.
Yep.
Okay.